Forecast, and it's the 17th of February. Another cold day in the Midwest, some snow. It's actually been nice the last couple of days, but hit the snowstorm today with some serious ice stuff, sleet, that kind of. Anyways, no one likes it. Anyways, so just coming here today to talk to you about some stuff, build stuff, renter stuff. I was reading an article yesterday, and this has been prolonged for a while. For the new housing industry, new home industry, excuse me, housing. It is housing, but for new homes. Anyways, builders are having trouble getting garage doors, and that's really a problem. It's instead of waiting 20 days, 3 weeks, they're waiting, and now it's 4, 5, 6 months. And also, too, problems getting doors for homes, sometimes windows. There's a big window plant down where I'm at. Quaker windows, and they can't produce the stuff fast enough. They're all these buildings, and they still won't have enough to get around. And they're a Missouri company. They got it in different states. Still won't have enough. There's tons of other like Anderson windows and stuff like that examples. They still can't produce the stuff fast enough. So gypsum's becoming two footings. Also, two brackets is a big problem right now. For builders, they can't get certain types of brackets when they're putting together truss systems and stuff like that. So, I mean, there's some serious problems right now, and a lot of it's because it's all sitting on a boat. All this stuff that came over from Asia is all sitting on a boat in Los Angeles, Long Beach, and they can't unload the thing. They've got, you're talking 80, 90, 100 ships at any one time, and it's just real pain. You got dips in Oakland, Portland, Seattle, Bellingham. Then on the East Coast, they've been trying to redo that. Now the ports there are getting all slammed anyways. So you got major problems because they can't offload the stuff warehouse base to do it. So builders are having serious problems. So new construction's gone way up. I mean, if you're a real estate agent, you're good to go. If you're a buyer, you're kind of screwed on that because you're going to have to pay a lot more to get the property. Even if you get a deal in, you're going to have to wait and do a lot of addendums to wait. There's nothing you can do about it. The banks can't do anything about it. No one can do anything about it because the builders can't finish the house. So that's just the way. The builders get draws from their lenders, funding institutions, and, they get it, but they're going to have to wait and the money in the bank because they can't get the product. So, this is just a major problem because it's having an effect on a lot of stuff because they can't finish the houses, so people can't get in them. But now the interest rate's gone up above 4%, which is still low. Anything under 6% is a low interest rate for real estate. People have been getting over for a long time. A lot of people don't remember the 80s and 90s when the interest rates were a hell of a lot higher than they are now. They still haven't raised the rate on there, but the Ukrainian situation could force it because they keep talking about invasion and there's all kinds of crazy stuff going on in Europe. So who knows where that's going to go. And so it affects everything else. Gas prices keep going up. They're looking at gas prices going to $7 a gallon, $150 to $200 a barrel. If the bombs start hitting, who knows? It's just one of those things unpredictable. And so everything affects housing and commercial real estate markets all the time because it means you can't build what you want to do. I know in commercial construction, they have the same problems. They can't get certain things, certain types of brackets for this, certain types of steel for this, certain types of things for elements, component part. I mean, there's just all kinds of weird stuff that you can't get. Same thing commercial too. They're having issues too, getting their certain types of footings for cement. When they're putting the foundations in, they're having problems with that. So, I mean, there's a whole confluence of events you can't control because it's all sitting on a boat. Maybe because they can't float it because there's not enough workers or whatever and not enough trucks. So all these are problems. So, just think of it as you're buying new construction and you're buying a new house as a buyer or an investor buying stuff up. You just things you got to let. You may be waiting for a lot longer. For a real estate agent, it stinks for you because, mortgage broker stinks for you because you don't get paid because, 97% of all the homes being bought are all paid with mortgages anyways. Commercial real estate, it's a pretty good chunk, but a lot more paying cash. It's a little different residential. So these are just things to think about. And also, too, rental stuff, managing rentals, stuff like that. you keep reading about a lot of crazy renter stuff going on, and it's just a lot of it has to do with the COVID thing and the way the markets are area, and just the issues that come up. Also, too, after you get done with your first year, if you're a owner and you have a client that is in a first year, or even if you own apartment buildings, I usually get those clients. I usually let them go month to month. A lot of places they want to go back and do a new contract, but I wouldn't do it. I would do it month to month, because even if you try to secure them in a contract, sometimes it's not the best thing. And also, too, if you're going to raise rents, a lot of times if you have them under contract and you want to raise the rent $200 or $300, it's a pain to do it. So usually I always kept it to 1 year. And if I decided to raise it, I did. And if they're a good tenant, a lot of times I just let it go and move on. And renter issues, you have to deal with constantly. And so you got to keep your houses or building upkeep. And these are things you have to do. There's some deferred maintenance stuff you're going to do, especially in apartment buildings. But, one thing I used to do when I had apartment buildings or houses, I'd have a company like Roto-Rooter, and I'd basically have a designated credit card designated for them. And so if they had to come out late at night and you're not going to get a hold of any managers or anything for your apartment building, if something happened to your toilet or whatever, you can go ahead and call them up, give them a number, and it would get paid for automatically, and they would just come out and knock. Or you have a similar company where they can activate your credit card at any time. They fix the problem up to a certain amount, and then if it's over, then you need to talk to them or whatever. But that's a good way to solve problems fast, because you're mitigating it right and make a happy renter. Another thing to think about for renter, the grounds, making sure they're staying clean. That's a lot of times the problem with that is making sure that your stuff's staying clean. The area. Also, too, deal with are going to happen. You're going to have problems. Kitchen problems. You could have appliance problems. Buying appliances, you're getting the lower end stuff. You can still make it look good. What if you're getting the nice, metal, silver, steel? You want to turn it. Make sure you got some kind of wool in there. It's usually a good thing to have, because what happens is just make sure that you keep everything nice and neat, and you keep your appliances scored away. Basically, what you're doing is you're buying steel appliances, but you're trying to get the best deal you can if you're buying them in bulk. Like we're in the area I'm at in Lady Ozarks. There's a place called Camden on the lake, and it's one of the top resorts, the Big Five that they call it. It's one of the top resorts in the Midwest, and one of the best views is right on the lake. Anyways, they're doing the owner leadership that owns they're doing a massive remodel right now. So it's a high-end hotel. There are condos in there, but it's a high-end hotel. So they're putting out, they're doing a $16-17 million remodel job, but it was a nice hotel anyways. But they're really, so it's going to be pretty awesome when they get done doing it. So it's going to be high. And I was talking to the maintenance department the other day when I was up there doing something. And anyway, so I talked to that person, and they kind of explained what was going on with there. But a lot of places around here are doing that. And there's a lot of places right now that are doing it as things kind of get back to normal a little bit more as the mask mandates are coming off. So to the renter thing. So things you need to look at, if you have a maintenance guy on, or a guy that you can get hold of that helps you and works for you, or you contract it out, which I contracted out to try to make sure you get stuff done. And there's things that happen in apartment buildings, things you're just going to have more so on a house, using an apartment. Usually houses nice will have stuff, so it's just good to get it checked. Usually you have a house and it's a rental. If you got a contractor or you have your maintenance guy, every year or two you do some kind of check, make sure you go through it, kind of your own inspection, make sure it's good to go. The foundational stuff, basic stuff, your appliances. You want to do a walkthrough inspection or have somebody do it just to get a kind of a feel to make sure your properties are good to go. We used to do that, do the walkthrough inspections and do stuff like that, make sure. And now here's another thing for the rent is that houses, we usually every 90 to 120 days, someone will walk through and check the house to make sure it wasn't dated or anything like that. There's a thing going on in the renter thing, and why I'm saying this, I'll get back to this. Do you want to do a 12-month contract? Do month to month, because if you have somebody in there on your property, if you're under a 1-year lease, even though you can have stuff in a lease to get them out, it's easier if they're month to month to boot them than to put them on there. A lot of times the houses basically put them on month to month and not even do a 12-month lease, because even though they might be scored away, but you're going through, if you go through every 90 to 120 days and check it out, and or if you do it twice a year, make sure everything's good to go. And if you see that they're destroying stuff, you can get them out right away. So think about, especially houses, is do you consider doing a month-to-month lease instead of do it a month-to-month lease instead of a 12-month lease, because you're always going to be able to find somebody else to rent it. And there's debate goes back and forth on it. I've seen a lot of it on. I prefer doing a month than a 12-month lease. Now, if I own an apartment, I would do a 12-month lease, and then after that, just let it go month to month. But back to what I was saying, because the thing is that you want to check the houses out to make sure they're good to go. Even apartments, you can do that too. You could have people go through, and you could have that in your lease contract twice a year. You're gonna have someone going to go through and inspect it and check it out, make sure everything's works and functional. And that's just something you do to make sure your properties are good to go. It's harder on it. If you're on a 12-month lease, it's harder to boot them out, even though that you may have a section there if they destroy property, blah, 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 the lease is up. But if they get an attorney that's scored away, knows the law, it's hard to do, especially if they pay the rent every month. So these are things to think about from a rental standpoint. This is a lot of stuff. One of these here, I'm going to go over and get into some more detail about rental management, things you need to look for and things you need. Sometimes having people with good credit's one thing, but there's other things you need to look for too. A lot of times, like in the area I'm at, actually all the way through a lot of the Midwest, and this is everywhere, but because they have a methamphetamine problem in the Midwest, a lot of times people are looking at criminal histories, and that's a big thing here, important here than even the credit score is the rental history. So a lot of times you'll get docked for that criminal history, boom, and that's everywhere. Some places are worse than others, and sometimes that's more important. Even if someone had a bankruptcy, I'd actually take her than someone even with really high credit sometimes, because the people with bankruptcy have already been through the highlight film. And even if they had a foreclosure in the mind, because a lot of times they've been through the highlight film, they just got unemployed or they had a life problem. And a lot of times those people usually are better renters and they're a little more long term. The renter may only stay 1 to 2 years average, especially in an apartment. House, they may stay a little bit longer. That's what I'm saying to you. If you have a good renter, you do a 12-month lease and let them go month to month after that. Usually they'll stay more term if you don't really do a rent shocks where you raise the rents. In the West Coast is a major problem. I know in New York City I've read about it, but on the West Coast is a major problem. And about San Francisco, where owners were getting out of control on the price range, and they can charge whatever they want because it's their place. But the way they were doing it, going double, tripling, quadrupling the rates right out of nowhere, and essentially just booting everybody out, and and asking for all kinds of crazy stuff for putting people in. And it's their right to own the property, but I mean, it's just you have the reality too. I remember one guy with an apartment, he had to have like a 750 score, and you had to be making this mum, and you were paying for one bedroom was about $4,000 a month, and for this is higher and higher and higher, and you had to have this and that, and he was renting out somebody's on a 35 unit or 40 unit in downtown San Francisco. It's his right. He can do whatever he wants. I mean, it's no big to me. There was a thing is where he got blasted. There was a newspaper reporter that lived And so the newspaper reporter blasted him pretty hard. All of a sudden, he magically got investigated by the city of San Francisco and county for all kinds of stuff because everybody started complaining. So, you know, you can be careful about a lot of stuff. And then I think he got taken to the Fed too. So, and the guy had owned the place outright for years and years and years. So there's areas you just got to be careful with when you're doing rent shocks or rent hikes like that. You know, and it's your property. You can do whatever you want, and that's your, you know, you got your attorneys and whatever. It's up to you. But certain things you need to be aware of when you do it. Usually, when I did the rent increases, I just did it. I did it in kind of, you know, I just did small increments because if I have a good renter, I don't want to lose them. So those are just things to think about. Well, like I said, it's up to you. These are all suggested stuff. You guys can do whatever you want. That's your thing. Talk to your real estate attorney. Talk to your real estate attorney if you have any questions, because that's who you need to talk to. If you got issues, I'm just saying from a practical standpoint, if you have good renters, you just want to make sure you keep them because that's what you want to keep. You want long-term, and long-term is always a thing. So, you know, but if you do incremental increases, that's not a total shock, then you're good to go. Sometimes the greed factor can work against you instead of with you. And so that's just something to think about because everyone's greedy. That's you know, that's business. But sometimes you just got to be cool about the greed thing because sometimes it can knock you punches. So sometimes it's better in the game to go ahead and just do it incrementally. Now, like if you're a builder, it's a different. You're going to jack the prices up, like Toll Brothers did. Jacked a lot of prices up, and they, you know, well within that right to do that because they can't get this, and that, and it's getting more expensive to build a house, and you're paying. That's just the way it goes. So things like that, that's just how it goes. And Toll Brothers are high end. I mean, they build apartment buildings too, but that's some high end stuff. But they build massive, you know, massive amounts of houses for high end users. But there's a ton of companies out there to do it too. But I just use them as an example because they had to raise. This is the way it goes. They had to raise it. They got to be profitable. They're on the stock market. So if you're a real estate agent, it's cool because you're going to get paid. But for a buyer, it kind of stinks because the price would have been a lot lower, but you can't get the parts that they need to fix the house and get it scored. So, you know, these are things to look at. For an investor dealing with renters, if you're a buyer, you know, real estate mortgage broker, that's kind of how it goes as far as that goes. So, anyways, these are just things to think about. Anyways, just brought it up today. Go to nickforecast.com. If you need to email me, you want to ask some questions like people do, go to Facebook at Nick's Forecast and go ahead and anyways, have a good day. Later.